Hi, everyone. It's Barb. Welcome back to the Interverse of Business and Life. Before we dive in, I want to take a quick moment and tell you about the upcoming Interverse sessions. This is a one-day virtual summit I'm hosting on Friday, September 19th. Now, I've invited 4 individuals who I think are really up to something unique and special in creating their businesses. And I've asked each of them to share in a particular area of strength that I know has been incredibly valuable to me and will be valuable to you as a creator, as a coach, as someone that wants to bring more of your aligned self to your business. You can check it out at barbarapatterson.com/interverse sessions. And I really hope to see you there. Now, on to today's episode. Today's guest is a friend and colleague, Aila Coats. She also just happens to be one of those speakers. Today is going to be a little bit of what she's going to be speaking to when we're together in September. I have no doubt you're going to gain a lot from this conversation. She is a coach and an author, and she has a gift for pointing people back to the deeper source of creativity and possibility that ultimately funds our businesses and our lives. We dive into a subject that can create lots of stories, and that's money. Aila shares her journey of creating money, of navigating changes in her business and her business model, and how staying open to the creative momentum in her life and trusting that regardless of the circumstances, there is an infinite well of creative ideas that are there to help her create that business and life, and yes, money that she desires. We talk about trust and faith and what you're actually putting it in. And ultimately, when you walk away from this conversation, my hope is that you also realize you have everything you need to create the kind of abundance you'd like in your life and in your work and in your business. As always, I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you so much for listening. If you know anyone that would benefit, please share. And now I turn it over to Aila. Aila, welcome, 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 welcome. I am so glad you're here. Thank you so much for saying yes to this conversation.
I'll say yes to anything you ask me to do.
Noted. That is good to know. That's good to know. But I pretty much feel the same way about you. So, I thought it might be a good idea just to kind of frame this conversation today, because I did have a somewhat specific request of you about what we would talk about. And for those of you that have been listening for a while, and when the podcast used to be called Real Business, Real Lives, you might remember that Aila did an amazing episode with me at that point and really talked about her journey as a solopreneur and how she navigated change in her work as she evolved. But today I asked Aila back to talk about money. You heard me right, money. And I wanted to do that because here's what I've noticed about Aila. And also, we have an upcoming virtual summit we're doing called the Interverse Sessions. And I also asked Aila to come and do a session for that day where she's going to take an even deeper dive. But I wanted to make this conversation available to more people. And that's why I invited you on the podcast. And what I've noticed, Aila, over the years is your ability to not only be agile in the sense of following, because as a coach, as someone that works with teens, as you work with other coaches, and, you've been a solopreneur for many, many years, we change, we evolve. And so how does our business and our work with others evolve with us? And often I've noticed that can be kind of a rough road for people, because it looks like, wait a minute, I have the formula and this formula works. And if I change it, it could potentially blow everything up. Now, I see this with executives that want to maybe step out and do something on their own, or people who want to take a new job in a new field. There's always this concern of how will that affect me? You know, I have a family to raise. I have bills to pay. Will it be successful? Will people follow me? Will I create new success if I have to? And I've watched you do that time and time again, whether it's been a whole new avenue of work and the way you work with people, or whether it's been blowing up your business model as your family has evolved and you've wanted to spend more time being, you know, a mother and a wife and creating the kind of home life that matters to you. So I want to know, for myself first, yes, it's true, but also for everyone listening, like how do you do that? What do you know that we don't know? And you know, listen, obviously we know each other and I've been blessed to be a part of kind of, you know, your world. So I know it hasn't always come super easy, but you have been able to do it. And so today I'd like to explore that.
Yes.
So have you always been this way? Have you always been able to sort of look at money and creation of it and funding your business and life? Has that always been easy for you?
Yeah, it's been a cakewalk. No, just kidding.
That sarcastic laugh. Yeah.
You know, actually, I do want to share. I grew up fortunate enough to not have been given anything ever. No, I'm just kidding. My parents loved me very, very much, but I grew up with very little money, very little extra anything. And I was just thinking about like this coming to talk to you today. And I was thinking about like, when did this start for me? This idea that the potential is that I could create what I need and what I want. Like, when did it really start? And I was remembering my first entrepreneurial moment was when I was about 8. And I had this desire to go skiing with my class that was going skiing, but it was $40 and we couldn't afford it. And I was like, damn it, like I want to be there. And my mom, who is a brilliant woman, said, well, figure out how to create it. Like, go figure it out. You can figure this out. And I never had this idea that somebody should do it for me. It was like, oh, okay, I have something in me that can figure this out. And I had my first little business was selling crystals that I would go find in the earth, kind of near where I grew up, or pretty rocks, or probably like maybe not rocks, or maybe poo. I don't know what it all was, but I was 8 and I thought it was pretty, so I would try to sell it. And every year I would do things like that. Like I would sell mistletoe, or I would make little necklaces. And I was just this little like, I wanted things as a young person too. So it was interesting to just have a lot of desires, like big desires. Like I want to go play basketball on this team in Australia as a 15-year-old, and it costs $4,500. You know, my mom was like, okay, like,
Yeah.
never going to happen, but go figure it out if you can. And I created over $4,500 to get to go do that. And I did that. And I think I just I'm a nice person, but I'm very stubborn too. If somebody says like, you can't have something, or I'm just going to go try to prove them wrong and do it anyway. And so I kind of had that energy of like, dang it, I can do this, whatever it is. And my parents have such great like thinking around this stuff, where the way I internalized my upbringing was that if I want to create something, I can get up to trying to like really get into the motion of it. And it's not going to just be handed to me. And I mean, it sounds like that could have been nice, but now I really see the value of this kind of conditioning, that the way it came in was I have this infinitely creative mind that's always working for me. And really my intensive with you, it was 6 years ago now. It really planted the seed for bringing that into my work, because I did get lost in where it didn't always come easy in my work. The fluidity of that. I felt like, oh, I found a way. I have to stick to this system because it's the thing that's producing. And I remember the time that we had together really planted that seed of like, the magic isn't in the system. It's not in the formula. It's not like, just like my parents aren't my source, neither is my business model.
Yeah.
It's like there's something much richer, deeper, more abundant, more prosperous at play all the time.
I love that.
If you keep going, I'll pause.
No. Well, I hear that. And I hear the industriousness of yourself as a young girl. But I also hear the deeper place you're pointing, which is you wouldn't have articulated it this way back then, but like you just were like in it, like, okay, you got creative every time. And then you followed through on those ideas and you were able to generate the resources you needed to do what you wanted to do. And it sounds so simple, but really, I think it is in many ways that simple. It's just as we get older and life gets a little bit more complicated, our thinking gets more complicated about kind of creating wealth or creating a business.
Yeah. The stakes feel higher in a
Yeah.
way. So but you know, what you just said, it reminds me of something Steve Chandler has in one of his books. It's like, there is never a lack of money, ever. There's never a lack of money. But what there can be is a lack of creativity. And it's like, I feel like that sums it up in a way to me. That's like, if I can appreciate that all the thinking that I have, that there is a lack of money, or that there's an economy to worry about, or there's whatever, there's a lack in some way. If I can appreciate that that's just anxious thinking, it's not really pointing at anything real. It does free my mind to think more creatively, expansively. Like I love the contemplation of like, if there was a way to do this, how could I? I mean, that's what we were just talking about when I got pregnant with my now 5-year-old. I couldn't commit to session times because with my clients, my full practice all of a sudden was like, I'm too sick to know. I couldn't commit to it. I was canceling a lot and I was really anxious about my work. And you and I had a session. You were coaching me during that time. And just that reminder of like, well, this is no exception. Yeah. You said something like that. Like, this isn't an exception. The creativity of the universe is flowing through you right here, right now. What are some ways that you can continue to serve? And I did asynchronous coaching for the first time. I didn't charge less. I didn't lose any clients. I think some of my clients got way more support. We were in touch more often. It was like brilliant.
Yeah. And that looked like you doing recordings, right? Voice recordings back and forth, and maybe setting up an appointment with the caveat that if you were sick, you couldn't join. And people were, I think it's just such a great story because just to look at that, you know, it looked like to you, like, okay, I'm a coach and I can't do coaching calls. So I have to, I mean, you were really saying I have to return people's money. I have to say, and I also just want to say for those kind of wondering, you weren't just like, this wasn't normal pregnancy morning sickness. You actually have, I can't even remember the name of it, but that makes you deathly ill while you're pregnant. So this was no small thing.
Hyperemesis gravidarum.
Thank you. No wonder I can't remember.
Everybody out there that has had the experience.
Yeah. And literally no control over when waves of that sickness would overtake you. And so I want to say that because in a logical mind, it looks like, okay, yeah, I can't commit. They've hired me to do calls with them. I can't even do that. I need to be in integrity. I have to, return their money and all that. And you can see that would be, most people would be like, yeah, okay. Well, good luck with that. You'll be fine. Everything, but because, yeah, we were in this conversation, and also because it wasn't me, it's always easier with someone else. We were able to say, wait a minute, the creative intelligence doesn't diminish because of life circumstances. And it also, like, we can use the container of whatever life has in front of us to say, okay, intelligence, what you got now?
Yes.
Because this is the circumstance, the market. I lost a job. I'm ill. I want to work less and live more. I want to, people think that what they want, or even what they need sometimes, or what is an actual complete deters, possibility. Now, I'm not saying you didn't have to get creative and rethink things, and people might have said no. But in that conversation, then we just both got open and said, okay, what could it look like?
Right. And thank God it was you, Barb. I could see some other coach who's not aware of the infinite potential really coaching me in how to have those hard conversations with all my clients.
Yeah.
And instead, I went in with the spirit of, I believe service can flow through this new way. Do you want to try it out? And it was just that, all of my communications were that simple.
Yeah.
That, and everybody was like, sure, why wouldn't they? In a way, it was nothing to lose. The feeling I had when you were just talking, it was getting more comfortable living in the truth that I don't have to see how it can work out. I don't have to, I don't have to have positive thinking about my future or how something will go to be able to take a step toward creating it. And I don't know if anybody can relate to this. I don't know. This might be a me thing, but it's like I grew up in the space I grew up in where there was a lot of lack and limitation ideas everywhere. And I felt like this little black sheep unicorn creature that was like, well, what if I could create it? Let me try. And I thankfully had support of my parents who expected me to work and create what I needed to. But I came into the coaching world really with a lot of those limited ideas running in the background and a lot of anxiety around creating a living doing what I love doing. And the thing that was super helpful when I was getting going, making a living as a coach, was not demanding that I believe that it's possible, but being willing to consider, like, what if I could take steps toward creating it, and be delighted at what comes forward and be surprised and not have, as I used to think, I just had to line up all my thinking. My thoughts needed to be very positive about the future. And one of the things I say a lot to myself and my clients is you can really think terrible thoughts about your business and not have it affect it at all. Yeah. I mean, I think I've heard you say things like this too, Barb, that like you can really be low and have awful thoughts, really devastating ones, but not have it affect anything if you can see through the illusion of those thoughts, that they're not guidance, they're actually not predictions, they can be there. They don't need to be believed and or swept away. They can just be along for like a little kid in the backseat, like, they can be screaming and yelling. It's like, we're still going to go.
Yeah. We're still taking action.
Analogy for me today.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could still go. I don't know why that feels really relevant to me. Like not needing a shiny, happy, like I'm going to be rich someday and it's going to be great. It's like, no, it's like the apple grows on the tree without fanfare. I can grow and blossom without knowing what's ahead of me in this specific kind of glamorous way.
Yeah. Yeah. When I hear what you're saying, I mean, a couple thoughts come to mind. One is, yes, to really know that a mood is pointing you to your current state of mind, your current inner climate. It's not really giving you good information about how life is going and how your business is going. Like that separation, I think, is so helpful because what happens is we get in a low mood or we get worried about something or an expectation we wanted didn't, work out and we're disappointed by it, whatever it might be. And those then the mind makes up a bunch of stuff about it, and like, you're not meant for this. It's not going to work. But you're right. If you could just have some distance to that and see a mood and know that in lower moods and moments of insecurity, our thinking just tanks with it. So, that's not when we want to put our trust in our thinking, but that you're right. If we just keep moving and clarity happens and a knowing happens. And you're right. There's life moving through us. There's, opportunities happening we can't always see. But if we stay open and we continue to listen, and I love that. I love the apple grows without fanfare. Because the other piece I hear in what you're saying is I used to think I had to manage my state of mind. I had to manage my thinking. If I thought a bad thought, I was keeping something from me that I wanted. If it was like this vigilance and this idea. And it's like, no. It really is that, it's all right here. And so we're just doing the best we can in any moment to listen and respond and offer a service or create.
I had this other memory come in that was when I was pregnant with Orion, who's about to be 9. I had the same pregnancy condition. And at that time, I was growing my practice and I had fees programs that I felt really safe and warm and cozy with, that it felt like a price point that I had ease saying to people and there was no problem in my mind with it. But then I realized, like, I want to keep creating money. It was kind of the same thing, but in this way that was so true that I didn't have faith. I didn't have faith that the solution I saw was going to work. And it was raising my fees and working with fewer people. Very logical. But in my mind, I'm like, who is going to say yes to this? Like, this is crazy. And I really wanted to cut my practice in half just for the pregnancy. And I was working with a coach at the time, and it was very interesting. It was just this, I remember this conversation with her was around, are you willing just to go and experiment and see if this can work, even though you don't think it can? It was that simple in a way of like, I'm going to go like throw spaghetti at the wall here. And it was just so fascinating to me because right away it was like the first, 5 people I talked to about working together were like, yeah, sure. Here's a check. I was like, mind blown. Like it was one of those moments that I felt like I really saw how kind of we're making it all up all the time. And I may as well make it up in my favor in a way of like, how do I wish this could go? What do I wish I could create? And how do I wish I could do it? Like, if I could have it my way, what would it look like? And even if I can't see it or believe it, just to start taking steps. And the step taking, as I love you constantly reminding people of, like getting engaged, it leads to so much more stuff, more information, more insights, more service. Taking steps. Like I'm allowed to take steps. I don't know why that allowing thing, the permission
Yeah,
thing.
like we don't have to know if it's right or wrong. We don't have to know what the outcome will be. We're stepping in, we're engaging, following through, and trusting that as we move, more information will come. We'll get clarity. Well, Aila, what would you say to somebody, and I'm sure have had these types of conversations with your clients, but where it looks like creating money is challenging and people are feeling like stuck around it or that it's not easy, that, what would you say?
You're right. No. Well, I do feel like it's a very common conversation. And I feel like the perfect person to have those conversations with people, because I believed that too, in different pockets of my life. I believed, no, there's limitation here. And I know the pain of that and just that, yeah, the truth of how real that feels. And my work with coaches or with teenagers, this comes up where they're like, I don't know how to do it for whatever reason. They're not allowed, for some reason, to keep pursuing what they want. And I think that's the first place I always look. That's like, well, if you could have what you want here, do what you want, what would you do? What would occur to you? Like if it wasn't you, it was your best friend, or as with coaches, if you're coaching a client who came to you with this, what would you see or what would you say or what would make sense? And what I know about state of mind is that the quieter and clearer they get answers. There's no actual real, you say this a lot, Barb, there's no real physical world problem here. They're stuck in a thought problem that really is reinforced everywhere. And I think the quote you put on something of me recently was around like me feeling bad when other people were struggling. And it is true that it's something I've had to really kind of stand up inside of, that there's a huge narrative of lack and just this agreed upon consciousness that there's not enough and it's hard to create. And I like being a rebel inside of that and to be somebody that's like, maybe not. I don't know. Let's explore here. If we slow down enough, yeah. maybe not. And it is true. I think when people drop out of their personal thinking around it and the fear and anxiety and just kind of sit back inside themselves and think broader, there's answers. And it might be changing a business model, or with young people, it's like, I like to bring up Orion. He's almost 9 and he's this little entrepreneur, and he wants to have a bass fishing business or scorpions, like so many things. And he's always like, well, I'm going to charge a ton of money and we're going to, da-da-da. And I'll say, why don't you go talk to all the neighbors and see who's interested in that? And go talk to more people and like start learning, like, would people pay for tanks of bass fish? I don't know if there's people interested. Probably if you talk to enough people. And we have this Byron Katie quote in our house downstairs that's, if you're willing to ask 1,000 people, you can have anything. And I think the spirit of that is very true. And it might take 1,000 people. In his case, I don't know who wants a big bass fish in a fish tank. Somebody probably does, though, if he has that desire. Yeah. And I want to be this little voice to him that's like, keep trying, build resiliency, like go connect, go see. maybe people actually want guppies in fish tanks. I don't know.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and it's like the coming back to what you said earlier, how do we stay open and curious rather than, and catching when the mind is shutting down. And sometimes shutting down looks like reasonable, rational thinking, like no one would buy that, or the market isn't good, or I don't have the credentials, or, it's not a good time for me to make this kind of switch because of my family. Like there's ways, and those things may or may not be true, but what we're really pointing to is how do you keep the mind open to possibility and then be willing to follow some of those promptings and step into action and see what you can see. I have a question that, do you think if we're like, I'm thinking of someone, I want to think of a real example. So, okay, so I, earlier in the year, maybe it was last year, I can't remember now, started this program. And I had ideas about how it would go and why it was so awesome and great and valuable. And I had done it before. And it went really well. And when I tried to do it again, it was literally like crickets. So I had to meet my own sort of, upset about the not matching what I thought, right? I had to kind of get over that I had to become a little bit more discouragement proof than I was. I had to make choices. Was I going to keep going? Was I not? And when I got quieter, I just kept hearing stay the course. Now, what happened was people did enroll, but it never matched what I thought. And it really, at the end of the day, if you do time investment versus return and all that, probably, didn't make me much money. But what would you say? Like, I could see where one conclusion would be, well, if you're in the flow, money's just going to happen. That's a tricky one because I've had that. Like, well, what do you mean? This felt called. It was inspired. I loved it. It's really valuable. I had gotten good feedback on it before. And I'm just curious how you would speak to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gosh. Yeah, me too with all of that. The first group I tried to put together, it was the most lit up thing I could imagine. It was like my life purpose. It was like 6 months of stepping into service consciousness. And I had like 15 pages of content for each month.
Yeah.
And I was just like a ball of inspiration around it. And nobody was interested in doing that. I think it was in 2014. And it felt so aligned and magical and beautiful. And I don't know what the right formula is, but I do know this. I do know I wanted to learn how to serve people better and to serve through the enrollment. So it was like, I knew I was sitting on a pot of gold, but why would anybody care? Nobody else knows that. And why would they care to talk to me about it? And I feel like from that experience, I got into, let me become a student of this work. Like, it really landed for me. That's like, wow, I'm going to create many more programs that I think are magical. But if I don't know how to serve as a way of enrolling, like really serve from the first conversation with a person that I think would love it, if I'm not willing to meet them right where they are in their life and really hear where they're at and what would really serve them, if I'm not willing to do that, I'm probably not going to enroll it ever. And what I had to learn how to do was to stop caring once I was in a conversation with somebody, like stop caring if they did my program and just start caring about them. And it feels like there was something in there for me that I still wanted to do the program. I wanted to fill it. Steve Chandler has another thing I love, that it's like, I need clients and I need money, but I don't need you as a client and your money if it's not a fit, if it's not lined up. So again, I don't know if this is relevant to what your experience was in the spring, but I do know the way that it's gone for me in those moments is, well, do I still need to make money? Starting from right here, what can I create? Like every time I do anything that goes sideways, or it goes really well, but maybe I didn't make as much as I want, like whatever, it's like, well, what do I need now? And what can I create with that big ball of failure? Like, what can I create right now? And that's the saving grace thought for me. Any moment in any day, right now, who cares what's happened in the past, really? Like, who cares? There might be a lot to learn, but right now I can create something with this ball of Play-Doh that I have to work with right here. That is the present moment. And the best thing I do is I don't tend to hold things against myself when they don't go well. I'm just looking at, can I learn anything from it? And if I can, great. And then what do I need to create now?
Yeah. And I think that, that ability to kind of not go down the rabbit hole. I mean, we all do. We all, to some extent, I did, disappointment or discouragement. But at some point to remember, like, okay, wait a minute, I'm getting ready to paint a whole picture about this, and as if the story's over, so how do I continue to stay present with new information and stay creative and open and know what to do? And I kept hearing, stay the course, stay the course. And, one of the things that I realized in that process was, I think there's still this hope inside of me that if I get the formula right, it will be easy, and it's funny. My sister is a first grade teacher, and always all throughout the year, I love hearing stories, but the beginning of the year, it's especially right, because if you think about these little kids, they've done some first grade, or kindergarten, but like they're having to learn everything, like how to concentrate. She's like, she has to teach them to look at her. It's like all these things that the little ones learn to do. And she has this girl this year that is like my soul sister, because she just looks at her, and if there's anything that's going on that she doesn't, she's like, no, I don't do hard things. So yeah. My sister Kim will be like, okay, I don't really think that's an option. And we're going to, show your brain how your brain can grow and it can do hard things, like she does, is amazing. But I laugh so hard because literally I think like I can relate. It's like, I just want it to be easy. And just that desire that for that magic, I'm going to hear the thing. And I'm going to do the thing, and it's going to lead to this magical outcome. And listen, like sometimes those things happen, which I think is part of the addiction to that. But also I think is really helpful to realize, like, part of business, part of life, part of being, is that, yeah, we get discouraged. How do we then stay open? How do we bounce back? How do we stay creative and not make up conclusions? Like, again, to see that the mind in its desire to kind of want to figure everything out is going to draw a lot of conclusions. And often it's the conclusions we're drawing that bum us out, not even the outcome. It's what we're making up about it. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you just said so many brilliant things. I love that little girl.
I
know. Steve was a guest in a group I ran last year, and somebody said something like, it just feels really hard to enroll her practice she was talking about. And he said something like, whoever said it should be easy. And it is just like, almost like getting scolded in a way, or like but what I appreciate in it is it's pointing me in this direction of having more flexibility. Like, if I can have a elastic like mind, that's like something in me felt that the easy way was this way, like X, Y, and Z. But what if I could open up in a bigger way to see, oh, maybe the easy way is that way? I actually looked hard 5 minutes ago, but if I can get a big enough perspective that's like, oh, the door is closing over here, let me go to where the door might open. And even if there's that initial like, dang it, I just wanted this one way to work. It's nice to know there's, again, kind of going back to the Byron Katie quote. It's like, can I be willing to keep finding easy ways? Like my next simple step. That's kind of this expression I really like. It's like, that step didn't work. It took me in the wrong direction. Let me see what the next simple one is and take that one.
Yeah. And, our intention can be to create a life that brings us joy, to create a business that, is financially successful while making an impact. It can be, find work that feels aligned to who we are. Like, all that's there. And then it's, how do we do the dance of listen, engage, step, listen, engage, step, adjust, agile. And I think if we look, it's probably more often than not that we have ideas about how fast we want it, what it should look like, or we like knowing how that, we're on the right track. And then when something doesn't quite go the way we hoped, it, knocks our confidence, all that stuff. But really, I think if you think about it, you're really, in those moments, you're really discouraged about something in your imagination.
Yes.
It's like the mind is discouraged with the mind. Yes. Rather than, as you said, no, come back into here and now and what's happening and how do I respond to what's happening, and just keep living that. And that, by the way, that is for me a more joyful way to be in my life and in my business, is to quit thinking I know what the outcome's going to be.
Yes.
And experience the joy of following what feels alive, and then trusting that you'll know where to go when you get on the path.
Yeah. Well, and as you started talking about the joy you feel of not knowing, I started feeling the dread of not knowing. I had the feeling of like, there's something, and maybe it's actually the same as what you're saying, but I don't know the path necessarily. Like, I don't know but I have some faith that I can create a living for my family. I can do that. I'm allowed to do it. It's this permission thing. It feels really big in the abundance consciousness piece. Everybody in the world says I can't. I am saying, no, go. You can try. You can go for it. You can do things. You can learn how to do it. Gosh, I was saying something, just went so present. It just popped
about out. You can, you're allowed to, is what you were saying.
I don't know, like you were saying, the joy of kind of letting go of the outcome or what's going to happen. And I feel like my mind likes not knowing exactly what the path is going to look like. It's like exciting. It's always interesting. But I start out with this clarity, like, I'm going to create $10,000 this month or die trying, basically. And and then the joyful part for me comes in of, I think I know how, but I'm probably wrong. And I'm going to do a big adventure right now. and you actually shared this with me a long time ago, or with me or with somebody that I was eavesdropping in on your conversation. It was something about not being so precious about my ideas or my plan, basically. And I feel like this is a huge part of abundance consciousness, is like, get out of my way, so to speak. Like, how quickly can I get out of my own limited perspective and just keep tapping into the possibilities and the potential continuously and not give up. Be like, I can't create $10,000 because my way didn't work.
Yeah.
And just be like, no, throw my way out. Find another way. There's another way. This is the abundance for me. This is like the truth that there's no lack. It's just, am I willing to stay on the path if I need to create something? If I need to.
Yeah.
If I need to, I'm going to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's right on. And it's that creativity. It's like, I can't put my faith in that the way I think it's going to happen, but I can put my faith in that there is an infinite well of creative ideas, that if I'm open, I'll get new thinking, I'll get deeper clarity, or, and often when I talk to people about sort of when they're in a place of wanting to try something new, and they'll be like, but I don't know what to do. What's interesting is when you hang out with them long enough, you realize, oh no, they're getting nudges.
Yes.
Right. But again, coming back to, well, that doesn't look like, what's that going to do for me? Like we get dismissive because we don't see where it's going to take us, or we don't see how that's going to add up to a new career or a new bank account, And so again, it's like, what is the source? I heard this woman on a podcast say a few years ago, she teaches sales training. And she said for her, she realized kind of that comment about Steve, like, yes, I need money. Yes, I need clients, but I don't need money from you or you to be my client, that kind of detachment. But she said she realized she was in a conversation and she could feel that she started to feel like, I need to like convince this person. And then underneath that, is that sort of, I don't want to be desperate or needy or any of that. And then she realized, she went, oh, wait a minute, you're not my source. Like she had this moment of realization of this person, this idea, let's transform, like a group you want to do, or is not the source of creativity, of wealth. And she realized, now she spoke in language that was meaningful to her. She said, God is my source. And when I heard that, it was again just one of those moments for me where I was like, oh yeah, like Barb's ideas isn't my source. My personality isn't the source. My behavior is not the source, right? Like those are all variables and all over the place, right? But what is source? I can put my faith in the creative intelligence of all life. I can put my faith that I'll get ideas and things will occur to me. I can put my faith that I'll find my bearings at some point. Like those are all things I can really get behind, but also that it's not all on me to like figure it out and do it all by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think coaching at its best, my coaching at it, when I'm doing my best job, I'm just creating a space for somebody to drop in and hear their own answers.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's why I receive coaching, because I get tangled up thinking I'm stuck or lost or limited. And then to get to drop in, it's not, I think that's like a physical manifestation of it's not all on me.
Yeah.
Or it's exactly. Like, I can be in it with people. We could be in it together, but also it's like that source that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
It's like, endless. I joke around with my husband, Diraj, about like, if I get totally just down about something, I'll be like, I just need to take a shower. Because somehow
Yeah.
God needs me. No.
Yeah.
Like I need to quiet down. That's what I know. And it is an infinite, never ending well of information and guidance. And sometimes I do need to ask a better question, and not so much why isn't this working, or there's not enough, and how do I survive? It's more like it's like a question where I get met with an answer it's like I want this thing. Is there anything I can try? Like, I feel limited, but I know it's not true. What are some options here? And it's like the mind is just like, oh, here's one.
Yeah, exactly. Haven't I tried yet? What's possible? Mm-hmm. And, I think the other thing is this kind of all points to, I can also appreciate like the desperate desire for a formula to be the answer, because then I can do that and it'll work, right? If there is this one formula. But I do think in everything we're up to, where it all starts with the kind of where we're coming from inside ourselves first. And so that, again, just am I willing to get over the discouragement? I can feel it. I can be present to it. You don't have to override it. We aren't talking about what you said, like, don't be in a bad mood. You'll ruin everything. Not from that place, but be with it. And now what? Right? Allow all of it. Allow the full range of our humanity as we're trying to grow businesses or make big leaps or create more money. It's like it's all a part of it as well. And I think that's it. It's like, how do I allow the full range, but not get derailed by my human experience?
And this is a physical thing, but the hyperemesis experience it's a really good analogy for thoughts and feelings, in that I had to take it into account in a way. I couldn't ignore it. I didn't want to ignore it, really. I mean, it's like I had to take it into account. Like, I'm having this thing go on. How can this be here while I simultaneously do my life? And it was like, there was things in there like, I need to sleep more. Okay, I need to not get out of bed. And I mean, I was just thinking about the feeling of discouragement being, it's not something that you need to rush past. There might be guidance in there.
Yeah.
It's like, next time I do whatever I want to, there might be guidance, it might need to be more fun, or it might need to be I don't know what, like, there's information, I think, in every iota of our experience that's worth looking at.
Hey, listen, for sure. When I saw how disappointed I was about not meeting expectation, one of the things I really saw on a very deep level is, I'm still looking for external validation. Now, that wasn't good on you. It was like a truth. It was a moment of truth going, oh, yeah, I know that doesn't work. So, but it helped me create more distance around expectation and more deeper understanding so that I could stay the course.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Gosh, 15 thoughts just went through. That felt relevant.
Well, I always just love all those thoughts that you have and hearing more. And I know we're coming towards the end of our time, Aila, and I just want to give you a chance. If, is there anything that's present for you now in this moment that you'd love to share around this topic?
Yeah. This is one of the things that popped in a moment ago. I don't know if it's relevant to everybody, but I remember as a kid watching my mom sit and write checks and not being happy about it. She wasn't happy. It was like, and I remember then when I got a checkbook when I was like 18, 19, and I went to write my first check and my mood dropped. And I was really introspective at that time. I was really into all this work that even then. And I just decided like, oh, I gotta do this different. And so I wrote thank you in the memo line.
Nice.
And I do that to this day with every time I get gas. Thank you. Like I don't know what impact that has had, except I have a better feeling in those moments.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's something about being genuinely grateful and in harmony with the giving and the receiving that's happening. And just kind of getting out of the, I don't know, like the lack of gratitude, and staying in touch with like, gosh, everything, just thank you all the time, however little or however much or big or small or anything. That's been something for me. That's like a secret, quiet. I've never talked about it, I don't think, ever anywhere. That's a part of my daily life of appreciating the giving and the receiving. And I think I do have that translated as anytime anybody's giving me money for something, I'm just like, I bet they're saying thank you. Not the other thought, not
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I think it's true. I think it's that, when you see the energy of abundance, like you take it out of just like the money, but the energy of exchange, the energy of giving and receiving, you'll see it everywhere, and I think acknowledging that is a really beautiful practice. Thank you.
I actually love that you brought up that thing of taking it out of even money. Yeah, it's like I just led a group where we looked at what are all the ways they could create some heartfelt desire that have nothing to do with them earning more money or creating money for, using money for it. What are all the ways, like whatever it is, a car, a vacation, I don't know, a hot tub, like anything that you could possibly want. What are all the ways to create it that have nothing to do with money?
I love that.
It was genius. It was like,
yeah.
To get neutral about money in that way too. It's just a tool that sometimes we need and sometimes we don't. Often we think we don't have enough, but maybe we have so many other resources that we could use to create what we need. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think that's a great, place to leave, to have people like, okay, what are other ways to create? I love that. Well, Aila, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone listening will as well. And I'm looking forward to hanging together again on the 19th of September.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. Thank you, Barb. I love being with you.
As always, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean a lot to us if you could take a moment to first subscribe and follow wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Hitting the follow button means you'll never miss a show. All you have to do is hit the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you like what you're hearing, we'd appreciate you taking a moment to give us a shout out and review. Most importantly, however, if you know anyone that would benefit from this episode, please pass it along. And finally, if you'd like to learn more about my work, Interverse Academy, or upcoming events, you can check out my website at barbarapatterson.com. You'll find some great resources, classes, and videos, and a lot more. Thank you again for being here. See you next time.